Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholz. Today we're beginning a new story, and this tale, my goodness, it is quite a story, a bit violent, and it's a mashup of many different Greek and Roman myths. Let's see which ones you can pick out as we go through The Terrible Head. And this will be a story told in many parts, and in fact, it may be so many that by the end of it, we're taking a little break for the summer. But we'll see. This is The Terrible Head, Part 1. Once upon a time, there was a king whose only child was a girl. Now, the king had been very anxious to have a son, or at least a grandson, to come after him, but he was told by a prophet whom he consulted that his own daughter's son should kill him. This news terrified him so much that he determined never to let his daughter be married, for he thought it was better to have no grandson at all than to be killed by his grandson. He therefore called his workmen together, and bade them dig a deep round hole in the earth. Then he had a prison of brass built in the hole, and then, when it was finished, he locked up his daughter. No man ever saw her, and she never even saw the fields and the sea, but only the sky and the sun, for there was a wide open window in the roof of the house of brass. So the princess would sit looking up at the sun and watching the clouds float across and wondering whether she should ever get out of her prison. Now one day it seemed to her that the sky opened above her, and a great shower of shining gold fell through the window in the roof and lay glittering in the room. Not very long after, the princess had a baby, a little boy. But when the king her father heard of it, he was very angry and afraid, for now the child was born that should be his death. Yet cowardly as he was, he had not quite the heart to kill the princess and her baby outright, but he had them put in a huge brass-bound chest and thrust out to sea, that they might either be drowned or starved, or perhaps come to a country where they would be out of his way. So the princess and the baby floated and drifted in the chest on the sea all day and all night. But the baby was not afraid of the waves nor of the wind, for he did not know that they could hurt him, and he slept quite soundly. The princess sang a song over him, and this was her song. "Child, my child, how sound you sleep, though your mother's care is deep. You can lie with heart at rest in the narrow brass-bound chest. In the starless night and drear, you can sleep and never hear billows breaking and the cry of the night wind wandering by. In soft purple mantles sleeping, with your little face on mine, hearing not your mother weeping, and the breaking of the brine." Well, the daylight came at last, and the great chest was driven by the waves against the shore of an island. There the brass-bound chest lay, with the princess and her baby in it, till a man of that country came past and saw it, and dragged it onto the beach, and when he had broken it open, behold, there was a beautiful lady and a little boy. So he took them home, and was very kind to them, and brought up the boy till he was a young man. Now when the boy had come to his full strength, the king of that country fell in love with his mother, and wanted to marry her, but he knew that she would never part from her boy. So he thought of a plan to get rid of the boy, and this was his plan. A great queen of a country not far off was going to be married, and this king said that all his subjects must bring him wedding presents to give to her. And he made a feast to which he invited them all, and they all brought some presents. Some brought gold cups, and some brought necklaces of gold and amber. Some brought beautiful horses, but the boy had nothing, though he was the son of a princess, for his mother had nothing to give him. Then the rest of the company began to laugh at him, and the king said, "If you have nothing else to give, at least you might go and fetch the terrible head." The boy was proud, and spoke without thinking.
Then I swear that I will bring the terrible head, if it may be brought by a living man. But of what head you speak, I know not.
And that is the end of part 1 of The Terrible Head. We've laid the groundwork, and on Friday we'll hear all about the Terrible Head itself. And you'll see the very first of the stories that this tale combines. This is Dan Scholz for the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you like to listen. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com. You'll find a new story waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. As always, thank you so much for listening.